Well, after decades of exploring the outdoors, I finally bought myself a PLB. It is not that I never carried one before. Occasionally I would hire one when walking the Blue Mountains or New Zealand. But because of the quote-unquote inconvenience of hiring a PLB, I went mostly without. I was obviously well aware of the risk I was taking, so I thought the time was right to actually get one. Although I'm hiking mostly solo, let's face it, even when you're in a party of 2 or 3 or more people, if no one is carrying a PLB and something happens, someone will need to get help, either walking back where you came from or finishing the walk. And that would take anything between a number of hours or even a couple of days. This obviously assumes that where you are, you don't have any mobile phone services. I'm actually preparing for a solo adventure in Tasmania, and for this adventure I wanted to carry a PLB. So I bought the GME MT16G. It is an Australian made product, cost me 360 Australian dollars including shipping. So let's open the box, let's see what's in it. So in the box you will find a card like this, which has the important information that you will need to register your PLB, the little owner or user manual and instructions. I'll come back to that one in a moment. And there is obviously the PLB itself. Bit of a chunky unit, a bit bigger than I expected, to be honest. It's quite thick. Fits in the palm of my hand. I believe it weighs 160 grams of around that figure. In ideal conditions, obviously you hope never to have to use this unit, but that's a little bit the unfortunate thing. You spend a fair bit of money for something you actually hope never to use. So to use the PLB is quite straightforward. The antenna is wrapped around the housing. So you have to undo that one, point it up towards the sky. The 2 buttons. The red button triggers the PLB. So you have to press it and hold it for 2 seconds, then it will start transmitting. It will transmit for 24 hours. You can stop it by pressing the red button again and hold it for 5 seconds. That will stop the transmission. So the PLB contains a GPS. And when you activate the PLB, the GPS will obtain the location, the coordinates of the PLB. And after a little while it will transmit the coordinates plus some emergency information to a land-based unit somewhere in the area that you are residing. So the green button is to test the unit, allows you to test if a battery is still working and the unit itself is still functioning. So for detailed technical data about this PLB, I would recommend to go to the GME YouTube channel. They have very detailed and informative videos. But a few things to call out. So really important is the battery life. This one has a 7-year battery life. That is actually mentioned on the sticker on the side of the battery, but also on the packaging. It gives you a end date of the battery, expiry date if you like. It's in my case March 2033, and you will need that detail for when you register your PLB. It works with COSPAS and SARSAT satellite systems, so it can be used worldwide, not just here in Australia. I registered yesterday and I will show in a moment the process. Very straightforward. It's a nice little workflow on the web, but you need to have some key information, and as I mentioned, that's all on this card that comes with the PLB. In addition, you need a contact to be registered, that in case the beacon transmits the signal, they will inform that particular contact about the situation. This instruction manual is quite informative. It's a lot of information in here. I'm running a test. Pressed briefly that green button. the strobe light indicated that the process of testing has been started. So after I started this test, I read the instructions, as you do, and it also mentioned that if you run a test, to do it in the first 5 minutes of an hour. So I did not check that, and I assume I'm not in that window. But guys, if you haven't already have a PLB and you are in the outdoors a lot like myself, not just for hiking but even mountain biking or water sports, sailing, kayaking, canoeing, whatever you do, it's worthwhile considering getting one. So I put it off for way too long, primarily for the costs. I have to admit, they're not cheap. They around the $400 in Australia as a minimum, and it goes up from there. Yeah, check it out guys, not just this brand but in generally all PLBs, because you never know when you need it. Yeah guys, that's all. Very short little update there. Thanks for watching guys, and I hope to see you next time.